Hey there, let me get my volume up here so I can hear you.
I like the background. That's cool.
I was gonna do the blurred background, and then that was just one of the ones they give you, and I thought that works.
That's so cool. I like that. I don't know how you're speaking to me in the atmosphere though. That's impressive. Welcome to Heroic
Antony, good to know you.
Conversations. It's lovely to connect like this. I have got a Fantastic Four t-shirt on, obviously.
Ah,
I've been trying to wear, Fantastic Four things.
okay, wait, hold on. Maybe I'll start the interview with this, and then I'll take it off. So,
Oh, there we go. See, everyone has one of them, and I'm really upset because I
no,
went,
no, no, everyone doesn't have one of these, Antony,
oh, oh,
because let's see if I can get that.
oh, oh no, that's
So
cool.
when we filmed our cameo, they treated us so well, and everybody had their dressing room, and there was flowers, there was like snacks, there was a card from Kevin Feige saying welcome to the family, and there was this is my pride and
I
joy now.
love that. I love that. That's brilliant. You've got a cast and crew cap from
Yep.
Fantastic. That is what a thing to have as well.
I went to
Yeah.
Europe recently, and I was like, oh, I really wanted to take it, and I thought, no, I don't,
No, because
because
you don't want to
I
lose
don't want to
that.
lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it'd be that one thing that you'd put down, and because you're thinking about it so much, you'd lose it and you'd go,
Exactly, you
no.
would.
See, I was lucky enough to go to I went to the London premiere for Fantastic Four, First Steps,
Oh, good.
which was amazing. The Baxter building was cool. The car, I saw the
Oh yeah,
car
exactly,
I've got a photo with the
exactly.
car. I'll put that somewhere. But oh man, honestly, the treatment was fantastic. But I didn't get a cap
At the end
because
of
why
our
not?
premiere, they were handing out this hats with the symbol, but they weren't like the nice hat like this. They were
Oh,
just kind of like some caps. And so my son and I were like going up twice and three times. My son walks up and he's got like two hats, and I said, "Son, don't walk up with two hats in your hand." They're like, "Yeah, we're just trying to do one per customer right now."
that's brilliant. I love that. They didn't hand out hats at the London one. I got a
Yeah,
postcard.
that's
I got a
funny.
postcard, and I'm happy with that.
Okay.
And I've got my
Yeah.
ticket, and I've got
That's so
a
cool that you
yeah.
went to that though. That's neat. That's neat.
I'm a massive Fantastic Four fan. It was an honor to go. Quick thank you to Marvel UK.
Yeah.
For the event was fantastic. I met Matt Shackman, which he's so
Oh, good.
lovely. He's such a lovely guy.
He
Wow,
really is.
such a star.
When I tried to do a little bit of my homework before we showed up to film our
Mm,
cameo, and then saw that he had done WandaVision, which I just thought was tremendous and
such
so
an amazing
unique and
show.
so
Yeah.
new. But when I met him, what I told him though was really cool was I had looked back in his resume, so he was a child actor, and he had done all these cool 80s shows that I grew up with that I was watching. And I said, Matt, I loved WandaVision, but really impressed me was your career as an actor, a young actor, and all these shows that I grew up. And he's like, oh yeah, that was fun. They were fun
I
to
love
do,
that. I love that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty. I had the pleasure of meeting him. Obviously, it was a very quick encounter. Shook his hand. I thanked him for WandaVision because
Yeah.
I watched that, and I remember the first time I watched that being so confused about what's
Yep.
going on, and then going,
Yep.
"Oh!" And it was such that, and then the ending. I didn't think I'd ever cry at a TV show about the Scarlet Witch and Vision, but oh my gosh, what
Yeah.
an ending!
Yeah.
Like and the line as well. I mean, it's not the line from WandaVision, but somebody made like a picture with it. Because Vision says in Age of Ultron where he goes, "What is love if not grief preserving?" Or is that
Hmm.
WandaVision? No, it's
I'm
no,
not
that's Age of
sure.
Ultron.
I
I
don't
don't know. I
remember.
don't know. But the ending was
Yeah.
amazing. Matt Shackman is amazing as a
Yeah,
director.
I think so too. I mean, he brings certainly an originality to
Mm,
what he has done. Things just come out different, and that was one of the things that I loved about Fantastic Four, the first steps, because forget about being in it or having the cameo or anything like that. I just thought, man, it was a fresh take. It was unique. It had some originality, and yet it just paid homage to the comic really well. I love the art direction, the production design, all of that,
yeah.
which starts with him. So same thing. Kudos to him. I just think he's a tremendous talent.
And another really big thing with First Steps, obviously before we start speaking about 94, was with First Steps, I felt there was some kind of familiarity with it. Like it felt
Yep.
like I lived in that world. It was really
Yeah.
strange, but it was I think the montage at the start helped. Because it kind of just went, this is the world, you're in this world, this is the
Yeah.
Fantastic Four. They've been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
They're not new, they've been doing this for a while. This is this, boom, and then there they are. And then you watch
Yeah.
the film, and the pacing of the film was really well done. Where I didn't feel like, I mean, I didn't feel bored because I'm a massive Fantastic Four fan,
Yeah.
but there was
Yeah.
no moment where I sat there and went, "Oh my God, do I go to the toilet now? Is this
Right.
the right point?" But I knew it was a good film, and not because of my own personal account, but my little sister enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
She's not a superhero person.
Yeah. Yeah. And
She
that's
came
the
out
thing
of it
about
when I
this one.
liked it.
I don't think you have to be,
No.
and it's not just kind of the typical superhero comic movie. Like I said, it just had a uniqueness and originality to it that was special. And you're right. Now that you having said it out loud, I'm still thinking about the movie and the way that they, presented the opening with the look back with Mark Gatiss too, who I love,
Yes. Oh my
and doing
gosh.
the doing this because then it does all of that gets you up to speed. And, for those that maybe don't know a lot about the Fantastic Four, it gives you just enough of the
Yeah.
back history and what happened and how they got their powers and all of those things. And it covered a lot of ground. And no, I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
that was a great vehicle for getting the movie going.
Yeah, because it didn't do the whole, because the origin story. I mean,
Right.
your film was an origin story. We had the
Yep.
origin story in the 2005 film. We
Sure.
had a different
Sure.
kind of origin story in obviously the 2015 film. Um, but yeah, no, I obviously speaking with the others, they say that your film is kind of like, like the first part of that one because you see the origin story. And I love
Yeah.
that because yeah, it because of the classical costumes, the era, the kind of design it went for. Both films honor the Stanley and Jack Kirby,
Yep.
you know, their
Yep.
legacy. And I love the
Yeah.
fact that they made cameos in the film as normal actors, but there was Stanley and Jack Kirby were in the film, and that made me really happy as well because it's just these little things that you notice. And when I was watching the film, because obviously watching the 1994 film,
Hmm.
you guys started showing up, and I went, wait a second, I recognize that person. So
Yeah.
and I love the fact you salute the Human Torch. I think that's
Yeah.
such a nice touch. Was that a
That was
personal
Matt.
touch
That was
or
all Matt Shackman. They when they first called us, uh Grant Curtis, one of the producers, was the one that made the phone call and called each of us and just said, "Hey, we've been talking at Marvel and Kevin Feige and myself. We want you guys in the movie." And we were like just floored. I mean, it was just this kind of out of the blue thing, that nobody was really expecting. Rebecca Staub, who played my sister, she was the one who, even when they were starting production on that version, was the one who, with her manager, went to the casting folks and said, "Hey, might you consider, or might Marvel consider, doing something with us?" And they
yeah.
said, "Well, that's a neat idea, but the film's already locked. They're already starting to shoot, and probably not going to happen." So it was just kind of forgotten about until,
Mm,
what, a year and a half later, and just out of the blue, then they make this decision to do this.
yeah.
So when they called us, they said, "We're not quite sure yet how we're going to use you, but rest assured, we're going to
I
use
get
you."
it.
And so when we finally showed up for wardrobe fitting just a couple weeks before the shoot, then they had some ideas anyway, and one was the power plant thing with with me and Michael Bailey Smith there. But even then, I don't know that we knew about the salute thing until we were on the set, and Shackman said, "So here's what's going to happen. We have this thing where Johnny Storm, he's taking in all the fire and stuff from the power plant fire, and he zips around and does his four, and but he makes a salute, and I want you to salute him back." And I was like, "Sweet, that's so cool."
Because it's so cool. It is really cool because you see these legacy characters, and even if you don't obviously know about the 1994 film, you see it and you go, right, these two people are standing out. There's focus on these two people. And
Yeah.
did you know about Michael's hard hat as well?
I just was going to tell you the story because
Yeah,
I just heard about that.
me
Michael sent
too.
out a Facebook thing and it said IB Rock. And I thought, oh, now I wish I had looked at my helmet. I wonder what it said.
I think when the film comes out, I'm gonna have to like with like a fine tooth comb go through it all and go right.
Totally.
What's going on? But
What?
it's amazing the fact that you guys obviously were given like, the opportunity to come back as a cameo. And
Yeah.
Did you know that obviously Matt Shackman's a massive fan of the 1994 film?
Yeah, I mean,
You
we
know
talked
this.
just a little bit, about it. I mean, well, I should say no. I should say I knew that they had watched it, and
Mm,
knew of it certainly, but yeah, I didn't have too much conversation with him
yeah.
about it.
Well,
Well,
he
the other cool thing that I noticed, and I saw this the second time I watched it, which was just recently, where I was over in Europe and in Istanbul, and the
mm,
friends that I was with, the friends said, "Hey, we need to go to see it in IMAX 3D. They have it in Istanbul." So we did, and one of the things at the very end during the credit sequence was when Joseph Quinn's name comes up, and they show like four pictures on the screen from the movie. One of the pictures is me as the power plant with Michael standing there. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. And
it's
Matt's
so
tying it
lovely.
back in there again. Yeah, they
This
were
is
really good to us.
the cameos are one thing, and then obviously speaking with others, learning about like certain decisions that are made. For instance, Alex Hyde White, obviously Mr. Fantastic, he's doing a voiceover, and
Yeah.
then it pans to Reed on a chalk, and I just think that's so
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So it's so subtle.
Oh,
And
that's
it's like
good, man. You're picking up a lot. You're
oh
picking up a lot,
no.
brother.
That Alex told me that. That was not
Oh,
me.
okay.
That was not me. But I was blown away by that because I was thinking to myself, the attention to detail and like
Yeah.
the homages, the tributes and things, they're
Yeah.
so personal. And it's lovely because, as a normal fan, you'd be watching it, you go, oh, that, just that was a nice little transition. But then you look into it and you're like, oh my gosh, it was the original Mr. Fantastic's voice. And then the new Mr.
I mean, that was the thing about it. I think that we all realized fairly quickly and it kind of struck us was that they were serious about this. It wasn't just like, oh, let's just slip these guys in and we'll see if they stay in the movie or not. There was a lot of thought and intentionality about us doing these cameos. They even had on the set that day. It was just a 1 day shoot when they were here in Los Angeles doing some reshoots, but the better part of the day was us. They even had their behind the scenes documentary crew there specifically for
wow.
us. And they filmed us all walking onto the set for the first time together, and people started clapping, and then they interviewed each of us, about it, and you never know what's going to end up on the cutting room floor. And so I remember texting Grant, the producer, probably about I don't know, a few weeks or a month before the movie opened. And I just said, hey, brother, can I ask you, are we actually in the movie? Did we make the final cut or are we on the floor? And he fired right back and said, nope, all four of you are in the movie. And,
Oh,
and so again, it just said a lot to
yeah.
us. It spoke volumes, the
Yeah.
way they treated us. Even like I said, the welcome that they gave us, showing up on the set. I mean, it was just like everybody had their own trailer, and like I said, there's flowers and this and that and the card and the hat, and just they just went out of their way to just make the whole experience memorable. And then to invite us to the premiere was the cherry on the
Oh yeah.
Sunday. I mean, it was just like they didn't tell us that they were going to do that when we were filming. It just was a sweet surprise later on when we got the invitation, and it was just, yeah,
I
I
love
mean,
the photo of the four of you as well. That photo is lovely because the big smiles and everything. Because
uh,
you are happy. It's so nice that obviously Marvel have gone. They're recognizing it. They're
yeah,
recognizing the film exists, which is
yeah,
the reason why with the film coming out is the reason why this series has started. Where I'm speaking to everybody, going, tell me all about your experiences and how you are in things. And it's amazing because I'm connecting with the original Fantastic Four.
yeah.
And I love the 1994 film. I really do. It's a very special
That's
place in
neat.
my heart. I am a gigantic Four fan.
Yeah,
I've got 3 shelves worth of just everything that you can think
yeah,
of. From the
yeah,
premiere, I've got flags, I've got a coaster. Uh,
yeah.
I've got anything that I could, go, oh, we've got, I've got pillows. I've got 2 of the pillows. I hope Marvel are okay with that. I mean, I got them. They did it right.
I think it's okay, brother. I think it's
And
okay.
I've got a sticker on the back of my phone from the premiere. I had a
Yeah,
photo with Herbie, which was so
that's
cool
cool.
because he's
Yep.
cute. He's
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah, he was running around ours too, and the guy, is right there doing all the
They're
stuff,
like,
to
it's like a
control him,
full
and
suit, isn't it?
full suit, full suit.
It's amazing
Yeah.
the technology. And obviously Matthew Wood voices Herbie, and it blew my mind because that's General Grievous and the B-1 battle droids from
Oh
Star Wars.
yeah, sure. Oh yeah, right.
And,
Sure,
I was
sure
like-
enough.
and
Yeah,
this cute little robot is General Grievous.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah,
No, it was neat
the
when we showed up to the premiere. In fact, it was interesting because so the trip that I made to Europe, me being a pastor now, it was a missions trip,
mm.
and we had already bought our tickets, way in advance, and we are going to France and then Turkey, and we were to leave the Sunday, which was the day before the LA premiere. The LA premiere was on Monday,
Oh,
the Monday before the movie opened, and I thought, oh rats, oh this really stinks. But I called the fella that was the leader of our missions team, and I said, hey, this is what's happening. Here's what's going on. And I just wanted to get your 2 cents, and he says, "Oh, I think you need to stay and go. I mean, that's like once in a lifetime." I said, "Okay, thank you." So it cost me a few $100 to change my ticket, and but we so I stayed behind. My wife was part of the missions team, so she still went because it was going to be more difficult to start changing more
yeah.
things. And so my son came with me, and it was really cool because they even hired him. He's a film school student, graduated a couple years
Yeah.
ago and has been trying to get a foot in the door. And so they hired him for 3 days for the LA reshoots, including our
Awesome.
day, just as a production assistant. So he was in heaven,
What a thing to
and
have as well.
oh gosh. And so he came with me, and it was I mean truly, not to sound corny, it was a magical night.
Oh
It was a
yeah.
truly fantastic night, from the showing up, and you looked up in the sky and they had this airplane Skyrider
Mm.
making Fantastic Four symbols all around the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion downtown, and they had the full on, not red carpet, they had the blue carpet,
Blue
and
carpet,
fans
yep.
that were dressed up, in their in cosplay, and we just happened to be the four of us in that area when the main cast arrived, and so it was so cool. So we all got to meet our counterparts, and get our pictures taken with them. Pedro and Vanessa and Joseph and yep, Eben, and how do you say his name? Eben?
I think it's Ebon. That's how
Ebon.
I think it's Ebon.
There you go.
I
Not to get it
yeah,
wrong, but
yeah.
so
One of
we
them
all
was
had
right.
those opportunities. We were the fans, we're signing autographs for the fans and stuff, and then we took pictures in front of the car, and they, had other pictures, and we went through the press line, and just all of that. I mean, it was just Kevin Feige showed up, and he was like, "Oh, you guys." We were like, "Kevin, thank you." So he goes, "No, thank you for being a part of it." And, "Oh, let's take some pictures." And so, I mean, it was just
It
to go
sounds
from,
wonderful.
there was a time where at about the 10-year mark when we did this interview for Los Angeles Magazine, which is a fairly prominent magazine in Los Angeles. And it was, everybody was over the course of 30 years, everybody wanted to know what happened to the movie. And so we would do these interviews for magazines or comic things, or we'd go to conventions, and and at one point, when Avi Arad was head of Marvel, Marvel was doing everything they could to just distance themselves
Mm.
from us, including Stan Lee, even in some interviews that showed up in the documentary that we actually made called Doom. And Michael Bailey Smith reminds everybody that Stan, you were there bringing donuts to our set, welcoming us and encouraging us, kind of thing. And I don't mean this to say this
Mm.
disparagingly about Stan. I get to why they would want to put some distance, between our version, and so we hopefully didn't take away anything from the big budget versions that they
Yeah.
wanted to make. But even Avi, he wasn't overly kind towards us. He was quoted in the article as saying, "Yeah, well, we finally got the negative and I burnt it." And it's like, oh, come on. Nobody burns a negative, first of all. You're just being mean.
Added
You
a bit,
know?
added a bit of
But
drama to it.
but exactly, but to go from that attitude, right, to then what Marvel
Mm.
now and Kevin Feige and Grant Curtis, were wanting to do with us was just night and day. And I think that too they saw that we're not a threat to anybody. And on top of it, have you talked to Joseph Culp
I
yet?
have spoken to Joseph.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he probably shared with you, which is, I love this story. He probably shared with you the curse of the Fantastic Four, which was his belief that these other three movies that they made after us, let's face it, maybe had their moments or some good things in there, but they didn't do what the first family of Marvel should have done, business-wise, or just even for the fans.
yeah,
They just didn't reach this something that we think the Fantastic Four should have done as a movie. And Joseph said, my theory is it's because they have not paid proper homage to the original, and therefore, until they do, they will never have a hit on their hands. And so, the powers that be at Marvel were like, okay, we need to lift this curse. Get them
we,
in here.
we
Give
we
them
need to listen to
cameos.
Joseph. I mean, Doctor Doom, he speaks some truths.
Right? There you go.
Yeah, I will admit I am obviously because I'm a massive fan. I am a sucker for those 2000 films, the
Yeah.
2005 and 7
Sure.
films. I
Sure.
adore them. I had the opportunity to meet Ewan Griffith and Michael Chiklis
Mm.
at a Comic-Con that happened in Liverpool, and I did the Grey Temples and I did the suit. I'll send you a picture. I had a lab coat on and I have these two Funko Pops and this the
Yep.
biggest smile on my face, just like how I am during these conversations because right now there's a little kid like, little me going, "Oh my God, speaking of the Fantastic Four."
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
Sure
have, and
enough.
it's mind-blowing and it's
Yeah.
amazing that this can connect us in that way.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And yes, I agree. I think with First Steps, they've invited you to it. And First Steps seems to be booming. I mean, the amount of merchandise and people enjoying it and the reviews
Yeah.
and like people are loving the film. I
Yeah.
personally I adore the film. I need to watch it in 3D though, because of certain
Yeah.
scenes. And that scene that and people have probably watched this once they watch the film, but with the scene with Galactus and he reaches out of the wormhole, I bet that was quite a whoa, okay. Because
Yeah.
he's scary in the film.
Yeah.
Like he is terrifying.
Yeah.
Ralph Ineson did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I had a brief encounter with him at the premiere.
Yeah.
Quickly said, "You've scared me already, and I've not even seen you yet."
Right.
But he's got that voice, hasn't he? He's got
Yeah.
that like that. Oof, oof. Yeah,
Yeah.
Galactus was scary. Galactus was a big threat, and I mean Johnny Storm in that scene on the ship as well when he was threatening his nephew, and
Yeah.
he just goes for it. You just see it, and
Yeah.
it's oh
Yeah. Oh,
amazing.
and I loved all of their portrayals. I thought the
Yeah,
actors did great jobs, really did. I
yeah.
I thought Joseph Quinn, I loved him as Johnny. I think the relationship that they had between he and the Thing was just
Yeah.
classic. The
I like the
banter.
flame off thing.
Oh, totally,
Flame on,
and
flame
that was
on.
the other thing. Yeah. I mean, I thought the effects were fantastic. I mean, to see the
Mm.
fire effects and what we would have loved to have done, what they were able to do now was just, oh, it was awesome.
It was
And
the
so yeah, I
stretching as
really,
well.
yeah. No,
Mr.
everything
Fantastic.
everything
Oh,
was, I
it
just
was.
thought top
Mm.
notch, so proud, so pleased, that it is what it is and
Yeah,
is doing what it's been doing.
I was really nervous because obviously, as Joseph said, there is a curse with Fantastic Four films
Yeah.
where there's
Yeah.
moments and you enjoy them and you're like, okay, yeah, but this and this and this. I genuinely couldn't think of anything wrong to say about First
Yeah.
Steps. And it's not like I'm trying to find a fault. It's that, you go and watch a film, you think about, okay, I really enjoyed this, I really enjoyed this. What didn't I
Yeah.
like? And with First Steps, the pacing worked, the story worked.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Sue was like the main character in a sense. It was
Yeah.
it was a mother and
Yeah,
son
she was
film.
not like the background character at
She
all,
was
That
so
was,
powerful. I
yeah,
loved
it
it.
was that was great.
Yeah, Sue as a powerhouse was amazing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was
I
when
mean,
she turned the ship in.
everybody had
Yeah,
their moments to shine,
everyone really did.
individually in terms of the characters, and then certainly, as they came together. I mean, it was funny. I heard one person that didn't like this little sequence, and I loved it, which was just the comic relief at the end of them trying to get the car
The
seat in
car
the,
seat. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, that just went on way too long. I was like, oh no, I
No,
thought
because
that
it
was
worked because
hysterical.
they've just defeated a cosmic threat,
Exactly, but
and
they
now they
can't get a
can't do
car
a
seat in
cussing.
the
And you know
car.
what? It's such a real life problem as well
Totally.
because
We
you can
all
never
who
get
have kids or have dealt
the
with car seats
belt
have
in and
been there.
oh, and
Love it.
it's Sue just standing there holding the baby because you're like
Like, oh
Sue could
gosh,
go over there,
you guys are
she
so
could do
inept. He
it,
was
and
so
she's just
inept.
oh, and it's when they do it and they all look and go, I
Oh,
loved
it's
it. But
great.
yeah, no, I loved the fact it was a family film. And just like 1994,
Yep.
it's a family. It's all about this found family
Yep.
of, they've known each other for a good amount of years, but this disaster's kind of brought them together,
Yep.
with the cosmic rays and things. And now
Yep.
they've gone, right, we need to be together with these powers, we obviously do them for good. And I will quickly say though, a lot of people make a big misconception with Mr. Fantastic, in the old Kirby and Lee comics, where when they're naming themselves, and it's like, I'm going to be what Sue called me, the Thing, and Mr. Fantastic goes, I'm going to be Mr. Fantastic. It's not because he thinks he's great. It's because in the context of that time, fantastic obviously meant whimsical and otherworldly, which is he
Mm,
is Mr. because he's stretching his body parts. He's not turning around to his best mate and saying, "Yeah,
yeah.
you look horrible, but I'm Mr. Fantastic."
Right. Gotcha.
Because it's
Yeah. Good.
because
Good. Good
Fantastic Four
observation.
is whimsical. It's
Yeah.
cosmic and all this. But yeah, that's just something I needed to get out there because so many people are like, "Why is Mr. Fantastic called Mr.?" It's yeah, but no, rant over about that. Um, being Johnny Storm
Yeah.
is the first portrayal live action of Johnny Storm of the Human Torch. A massive character in comics now because he's grown and grown and grown. He was Sue's hotshot brother, and he's grown to this standalone, stronger character. Jonathan Hickman in his comic book run showed off his power when he faced off in the negative zone. Um, what was it like being Johnny Storm and being the Human Torch? Because it looked like you had a lot of fun on the film.
I definitely had a lot of fun. All right, so I will tell you this, and I hope this doesn't dash any of your thoughts about me or our movie. When so I get the call from my manager and to for the audition for Fantastic Four, and he is all excited. He's like beyond the moon. He calls me and he goes, "You'll never guess what I got you an audition for. You'll never guess." I'm like, "Okay, what?" He goes, "I got you an audition for Johnny Storm for the Fantastic Four." Oh, oh, cool. He's like, "Cool? What do you mean? This is like, do, do you know the Fantastic Four? You do know the Fantastic Four, right?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know who." So I wasn't the big comic guy growing up. I had read Mad Magazine, and there was one called Cracked, and there was some comics, Archie and Jughead. And I remember reading those,
Yeah.
and that was kind of my limited comic experience. I just didn't. I just wasn't a comic kid, and so I knew of them, but I really didn't know them. And so yeah, I kind of dashed I gave him a less than what he was expecting, in terms of my reaction,
You didn't match his
back
energy
to
at
him.
that time.
Oh my word. And so I said, okay, so no, that's awesome. His name is Greg. I said, Greg, that's awesome. I'll start doing some of my research here. So I did,
Yeah.
of course. I went to the comic shop and got some comics and started, getting into it more so I could go in and at least, hopefully, do a good
Yeah.
audition for Johnny Storm. And and it wasn't, I think when I read him, I had just kind of an instant idea of how I saw him, how I wanted to portray him, and I hope that it's seen as true to the comic. I think the thing that I infused him with, which is typical of me, I'm just generally a high energy person, and I
Yeah.
and I know I put a lot of that into him, um, and I think that when sometimes I would get dinged from somebody in regards to that movie, it was maybe because well, he's a little over the top, he's a little, chewing the scenery kind of thing, and whatever. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
kind of
it's a
what I.
comic book film. It's meant
Well,
to
that's the way
be,
I looked at it too.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, with our movie, this is the thing. Oli, I'll never forget. Oli, the director, Oli Sasson, gathers us up, a week before filming, and it was kind of like the locker room pep talk, and he gets us together at his house. And I think it was the four of us, and I think Joseph Culp. And he said, "Gang, here's the deal. we already know what we're up against, right? We are making a movie that at that time probably should be, say, $40 million, and we have $1 million. And so we know that it's going to lack in the effects. It just is. It's Roger Corman. So we're going to be using
Yep.
his studio and his costumes and his this and that and all these things. And so all that's going to be just what it is. That's the stuff out of our control. So
Yep.
we need to control what we can control. And what we can control is you guys filling out your characters, bringing them to life, really working hard, getting them down. The what you'll bring as the four of you, especially, and then Joseph as well, of course. But just the chemistry between you four. And he said, and I'm going to do whatever I can as a director to just make it good. And I think the way it ended up, which I'm pleased with, I don't. I think it was a good way to go was yes, there is a campiness to it, right? I will tell people it's kind of like the old Batman TV show from the
Yeah.
60s, pow and whap and zonk and that kind of
I,
stuff.
I think that works in superhero
I
media.
think it does
It
too.
does because
And
it's
I
like
think it
it's
was what
pulled
we
from a
had
comic book
to kind
book.
of
Yeah.
embrace and take hold of in order for ours to have any sort of sense of believability or to be accepted or just to be seen as, oh, this is okay. It's yeah,
Yeah.
they're missing this, but this is decent, the rest of it. So yeah, all that to say that was my Johnny Storm. I knew they were going to dye my hair blonde. We needed to do that. That was a have to. You're not going to play Johnny Storm with brown hair, kind of thing.
No, no.
So that we did that, and I think here's the other thing. What 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 you see in the characters in the story, like you made the point of, so they go through this disaster, of Colossus
Yep.
and what happens, but then it does ultimately bring them all together. Well, we had if you will, the disaster of being this low budget film, that again has all these things against us.
Yep.
But that's where, thankfully, Oli, as our true director, our head coach, our ringleader, gathering us together, man, that really worked. And what we realized was we were all in this together. And we wanted to make the best movie possible. We wanted to serve the comic well. But here's the other part. We all saw it as a calling card. I mean, this
Yeah.
we knew we had a built-in audience of the comic world. And so if we could actually do something good with this could potentially be a career booster for all of us.
Yeah.
And Oli saw it that way as well. And so let's do our best for all of those reasons. And what ended up happening was we as a cast, man, we just gelled. We just loved each other. We had a blast together. This is still, out of all my 20 years of doing movies and television, this is the one cast we are still close with. Like you
Yeah.
said, to see the pictures at the premiere 30 years later, and we love each other and we care for each other and
It's
we're
so sweet.
friends. And that was there. I mean, and when it was like being in the trenches. It was like foxhole filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
Because again, it's no frills. I mean, you
No.
show up to Roger Corman's warehouse in Venice where your sets are, and it's infested with rats, and there's ants in the dressing rooms, and it's no frills. There's no red carpet, there's no VIP anything, there's no cool hats, in your dressing room, to say thank you for being a part of the production. It was truly foxhole,
Yeah.
trenches kind of
Bare
stuff. And so
bones
you either
style.
band together and make the best of it, or you fight against it, and then that's going to affect everything in a
Yeah, because
very
everyone's
negative
gonna,
way.
yeah, well, everyone's gonna
So
feel it.
we just embraced it. We loved it. We laughed about it. We joked about it, and we again, to this day, I love those people.
Yeah,
They are just dear, dear friends. So I think
that's
that
lovely.
that's what
Yeah.
we had going for us too, and I think hopefully that came out in
It
the
does,
movie.
it does, and I did mention it when I've been speaking with other people. Is it really does the community side of it, where you guys are all still talking. I mean, so we just spoke about obviously you being Johnny Storm and taking on that mantle for the first time live action, and having that kind of the over the topness, the comic book style acting, because it is in the comics
Yep.
Johnny is a hothead. That's
Yep.
that's the kind of
Exactly.
he's the Human Torch. They made him a
Yep.
hothead. It's things like this. There's so many metaphors you could take away from the
Yep.
Fantastic Four. Obviously, Ben is the Rock, it's things like this.
Yep.
So with the Fantastic Four 1994, I was hoping we could be a bit like Susan Storm and be a bit transparent here. And if there's any insights or anything you could give me about any behind the scenes, you said about obviously the conditions you had to kind of come together because they were bare bone conditions. They
Yeah.
weren't Hollywood. Like you said with
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
step
Well,
studio and trailer and things.
and that being said, so yes, there were the rough conditions. There was Roger Corman is notorious for recycling and reusing sets, costumes, props, you name it. In fact, I think our main set area for I want to say it was like Doom's Castle or something was something they used when he did Carnosaur, his takeoff on Jurassic Park, something like that. Okay, so that being said, this was still this was actually a big budget for Roger.
Yeah.
So his stuff, I think he was used to keeping things in the, half a million range. But this was a joint production between himself and Bernd Eichinger, the German film producer who had the rights to Fantastic Four. It was a joint venture where I think both of them put up the money to come up with basically $1 million. Again, for Roger, that's a big budget.
Hmm.
So we had, I'll tell you what, in terms of where we lacked in terms of special effects stuff, the one thing that was pretty cool was the Thing costume. It
Yeah.
was made in advance. It had to be made first, and because we needed to get into production quick, and so they couldn't wait for the casting of Michael Bailey Smith and then fit the costume to him so he could actually play Thing in the costume. So they had a stuntman, Carl Ciafalio, a neat guy, neat brother too, who was the one that they used to build the costume around, and it would be that he would play the Thing in the costume.
Yeah.
And man, when you look at it, it's pretty sweet, for what we had to, again, money wise to work with, and the Thing head, man, they really went to town and gave it had servos inside that could make the mouth move and the eyes move and these different things. So you go, well, that's pretty cool. And Roger Corman didn't happen to have Fantastic Four costumes laying around, so we had to make those. And what was cool about those was they were imperfect. They weren't perfect like you would get from the other movies that were made, right? And even from the newest Fantastic Four movie. But in reality, where'd they get these costumes? Sue made them.
Oh,
So she was the one that actually
yeah.
put them and built them and created them. So yeah, it wasn't perfect, and maybe our waistband is slightly above the round number, or just you just saw the imperfections, and that was okay in one sense. It gave just a certain realness to what was going on. So I guess I'm counterbalancing the difficult conditions with the things that worked in our favor
Mm.
and that were positive. We had plenty of days where we got outside Roger Corman's studio. When we first all crash land, we had this spot out in Simi Valley. It was in this area where on a near a filming ranch where they did like Little House on the Prairie, a very popular
Mm.
American TV show. And so we had just a really different atmosphere and look to it. We filmed downtown LA. The Baxter Building was in this cool old historic building downtown, and we filmed in there. They have Oli probably told you the story of at one point they had no more money, and yet they needed some shots of the Thing just out and about, and so they did it in Hollywood. He grabbed a camera. It was like he and like one or two other people, and I think Carl in the Thing costume or somebody else was in the Thing costume. I don't even remember. Yeah, in fact, I think it was somebody else. I think it was our casting guy Mark was in the Thing costume or something like that, and they're just running around grabbing shots, just
Yeah.
shots in Hollywood. And so I think all of those things too actually lent some production value to what we did. Even the last scene, which is the most hysterical one for me in terms of the effects, because it's cornball and cheesy, but yet I just have to laugh. The very end of the movie where we walk out of the church and Reed and Sue have gotten married. We're filming on a university in Los Angeles, their
Mm.
campus, and coming out and getting into the limousine, and then you see the
It's
big,
the
the
arm.
big arm going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh gosh. But so again, all that to say,
Yeah.
there were the aspects that were the rough and tumble, but there were also some other aspects where because we had just a little bit of money, we were able to do something a little differently than
Yeah.
maybe what Roger Corman would have been able to do,
And the
or what he normally
costumes.
would have done. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up. I love those costumes. I think they're so they look like they've
I
been torn
wonder
out of a
where
comic
they're
book.
at. I really wonder where they're at. They would be neat.
They would be
They
cool
would
to
be neat
have. Yeah,
historical things to have. Yeah.
yeah.
One of the thing heads ended up, Alex Hyde White has one of the thing heads. Um, uh, Mark Sykes, who again was our casting guy, and he was also kind of he worked at Corman's studio before anybody. He's got some props and things, but I have no idea where those. That would
Because
be
those
neat
costumes would be
to
cool. They'd
have
be cool
those
to have.
suits.
Yeah, they would be
Yeah,
cool to have because you could each have your own and kind of have them in like like in The Incredibles when he has the suit in the frame. You could have it just
totally,
like that.
totally.
It would just be
Even I don't
cool.
know if they had it at your premiere, but at the premiere out here, they did have all of their costumes on display.
No, see, I
Yeah,
think
they had
the
each of the four.
I think the London premiere was because it was it was done by the BFI IMAX
Okay.
in by Waterloo, and I can't stop singing ABBA whenever I say that. And it goes through and it's like an underground passage. So you had
Okay.
like each side was you had their astronaut photos.
Yeah.
You walked into I believe Yancey Street, and then you had the Fantastic Car. You had the
Yeah.
fan section here. You had another fan section there, and then you went into the IMAX, and it was like the Baxter Building. You had actors and things like this. There's videos out there. It's phenomenal, and the actors greet you, and they go, "Welcome to the Baxter Building." They go on the phone and go, "Hi, yes, that's Sue. Yeah, we'll send them up." And it's just it was the
Oh, neat.
atmosphere. Like they really, but it was quite limited space. So I think
Sure.
I mean, the American one's obviously always going to be like the big, it's the big finale in a sense because that's where they go right, this is the film. Here's like you said, there was a drone show as well. I think at
Oh,
the
cool.
American one. No, the American one. Wasn't there a drone show?
I
It was
don't
like,
remember. Maybe they did at the end. We at the end you walked out and they did have a party that was still kind of going on at that point. My son and I we were beat. We got our free hats. They're giving out box of Pop Tarts. They were Fantastic Four Pop
yeah,
Tarts. And they were dancing and this and that. We're like, I had to get up early to pack and get out on
obviously
the
it's to
plane,
go.
and he had to
Yeah,
work, and so we're like, we're out of here.
yeah. With this is
So I
we've
might have missed the
enjoyed it.
drone
Yeah.
show.
I think there was like a big Galactus or something, or maybe that was for San Diego Comic Con. I'm unsure,
Okay,
but yeah, the London one was
yeah,
brilliant. But I think it was
yeah,
very
that's neat.
yeah, it was a great time. I can't
Yeah,
fault it. It was brilliant. But
yeah.
yeah, have you got anything from the film? Have you got like a little memento at all?
I think that no, I always try to. It's funny because every job I do, I try to just find something even small just
Yeah.
to take with me. And the only thing that I can think of that I have is just my script, and
Wow.
oftentimes I'll take my script and have people sign it and stuff like that. But no, for whatever reason, I just didn't. I think, and when we were doing the Doomed documentary, Mark,
Mm.
who was producing the documentary, he was asking any of us, whatever we had, if we had call sheets or if we had, just if we did have props, anything, that we might offer. And and it's possible, and I couldn't find, as my garage was such a mess. But I was always videotaping stuff with my video camera, and I'm thinking that I have somewhere footage,
Wow.
behind the scenes stuff, and I got to make more of a point to go through my stuff and see
Yeah.
what I might have. I think the problem is I have these tapes, but the cameras are since defunct, and I don't have anything to play the tapes on, so I need to get them transferred,
Yeah.
to digital and then see what exactly is on them, and if indeed I do have
Because that would
any.
be amazing to have,
Wouldn't that
wouldn't it?
be
Like
brilliant?
what a
Yeah,
memory. Because that'd be through the
yeah,
eyes of yourself. I
yeah.
think videos like I mean I guess like home videos that would be because it'd be the very classic.
Right,
You have your home
right.
video with the date in the corner and everything. That would be an
Yeah,
amazing thing to
yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah. That
That
would
would be
be neat. So
yeah.
I'll say one of these days I'll go see what I can find. But no,
No,
I don't. I
Spotlight's
didn't. I
awesome.
didn't take anything else. I didn't have anything else. I don't remember any other, things or props or whatever that yeah, just yeah, kind of a bummer.
But having the script is awesome though, because that's
Oh
the
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
original
got all my
script. That's
scripts, and like I
cool.
said, sometimes I thought to have people sign them. Back in the day too, I just remember now all that stuff is really meaningful to me, partly because of my age. At the time, I was always a big picture taker, and so I often took pictures on sets. But but there were some times where I thought, oh gosh, why did I not have everybody sign that script or that
Yeah,
script? Or, you know, oh man, there were times where I think I just was young and you just don't think of those things, and
you don't
you're
know.
kind of hot shot, and well, I'm gonna, you know, be a big time movie star anyway, and so I don't need to ask these people right now for their autographs. Well, you know, but now I'm like, oh man, all
I
this
wish I
is
did.
so cool.
Like I said, I adore the film. I adore the '94 film. You know what? I think every Fantastic Four film has a special place in my heart somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
There's elements of each one that I take away and go, yeah, you know what? I'll take that.
Good,
That was,
good.
as a fan, I mean, you have your average viewers that moan and groan about anything, like, oh, well,
Sure,
this was
sure.
bad. This was no, blanket. I like them all.
Good.
Obviously, you have your favorites. You have your
Yeah,
personal ones. I was saying the other day, the '94 film's like a guilty pleasure one because there's no official place to watch it. It's
right.
very much just like, okay, I have the means to watch it. I'll watch it when I'm just kind of like, in that kind of mood, late night, got my snacks. You put it
Yeah.
on. It's fun. It's not, it's not serious like you said. It's fun. You can see the love. You can see the
You
community
know,
around it. It's lovely.
here's this was kind of interesting to me. So recently at our church, um, with the new movie coming out, there's some folks that know that I did the original one. They didn't know that I had the cameo in the new one yet, and they were part of our youth group. And so they've been doing like youth movie nights throughout the summer, like
Oh
at different
yeah.
people's houses, and project out in the backyard, and kids have snacks, and this, that, and the other. It's like junior high, high school. And so this friend, he said, I want to show your Fantastic Four. He says, I've seen it, but I want the kids to see it, with you being in. And I said, oh, cool. That's really cool. And he said, would you want to come by when we do it? I said, absolutely. So I did, and talked to the kids and introduced it and just explained a little bit about it. And then we started playing it. And I basically thought, for kids nowadays, I thought what would happen is okay, they'll watch it once I've come on the screen and they've seen, oh, Pastor Jay is, Johnny Storm. They'll start to lose interest,
Yeah.
and they'll be running around, and they'll forget about the rest of the movie. They sat there, watched the whole thing. I mean, some of them were like, like, oh yeah, oh, I was wondering what was going to happen there. And you could tell they weren't just
They're
watching. I mean,
into
they
it.
were tracking with it.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is very interesting, because you're talking about a generation that's like, oh, we've seen the coolest of cool effects,
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, what do you got for me now, But here they were, totally content. And it went beyond just, oh, that's Pastor Jay, to actually just being entertained by the
The
movie.
film. Yeah.
And I
Uh,
thought that spoke volumes to me. That was huge.
And that's the beauty of it. I mean, like I said, when I've been speaking with other people, I mean, I'm 24, so yeah, I
You're
wasn't
a
even,
youngin'.
yeah, I wasn't even a thought when the film was going to be coming out.
Right.
But my first memory of the Fantastic Four was going to the cinema to go and watch the 2005 film with my dad. I was
Okay.
4 years old, which is seems so right being four, and we got pictures and things, and watching the film. I've since obviously watched it again
Yeah.
and I fell in love with the Fantastic Four. I fell in love with Mr. Fantastic. There's something about the quick writing and the stretchy arms, so he can just keep writing.
Yeah.
Because I always find that it would be so helpful just to keep writing. The stretchiness is just such a power, but people go, yeah, but that's not his power, is it? Reed Richards' power is obviously his brain. But when I got a bit older and got access to the means to watch the certain things, I looked into the Fantastic Four, the old cartoons, and obviously your film. And I remember watching it for the first time, and like you said, with just that generation, is I sat there and I was enthralled with it. I loved it every single moment. Just the like you said, the campiness of it, the big stage drama, kind of the
Yeah. Yeah.
theatricals,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
grips you, and it's nothing like you get these days because it is
Yeah.
its own, it very much is its own thing, and I love it for that. It's very special. It's a very special part of Marvel history. It's a very
Yeah.
special part of Fantastic Four history.
Yeah.
You speak to a
Yeah.
Fantastic Four fan, they'll know somewhat of the 1994 film because
Yeah.
it is folklore in a sense. It's
Yeah.
something that's It's
Well,
something that's continued.
here's what I've often said too. Part 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 of you mentioned the lore,
Yeah,
and I agree. I personally think that if the movie had come out in '94, I think it would have come and it would have gone. And I think that would have been that. And you just wouldn't hear a lot more about it. Sure, it would get a mention when they talk about
yeah,
the different movies, in its history. But the fact that it didn't come out is why you and I are sitting here talking right now.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so I think that the film had a life that it wouldn't have had because of the lore, because of the story behind it all, which just made it so unique. And it inevitably, even when I was still in the industry, and after we had made the movie, and I would go and have a meeting with a director, and have an audition and whatnot, and they'd look at your resume and they will ask you some questions. Inevitably, the one that everyone wanted to talk about was that.
Yeah.
Oh, you did the Fantastic Four. Yeah, tell me about it. What was that like? It was just a
It's
fun
just something,
talking
isn't it?
point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and like I said, it's neat that it's now had this life. I think for us, everything's come full circle, certainly with the recognition that they've given us. I think the 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 last thing, if Marvel or Disney ever thought to do that would just be such a cool blessing, would be if they would actually release it in some way. If Disney
Yeah.
would put it on Disney Plus and just let it go ahead and be there for people to actually legally see,
To watch it without being bootlegged. Yeah.
Exactly. That would be really cool. That would be
Well,
cool. So,
Jay, I have some wonderful news for you. That's what I'm pushing for.
yeah,
That's what I'm doing this for,
yeah,
to get it, even if it's just on Disney Plus, just so people can access it.
yeah,
It's
that's
not going to
it.
hurt them.
Nope, it's not going to hurt
People want to
anybody.
see
In
it. You know
fact,
what I
they've
mean?
acknowledged it now
Yeah.
and embraced it.
You
And
could
so,
link it with the rest of the Fantastic Four things, the
absolutely, let it be
cartoons
part of
on there.
the.
Yeah. Give it its place in Marvel
Yeah,
history.
there you
It's
go.
been what? It's been over 30 years now.
Yep, yep,
People are still talking about it. We're talking
exactly,
about it right now. I've spent the past
exactly.
few weeks speaking about it. You know,
Yep,
my culmination of this series is to give it a platform where people go, yeah, because the Doom series, that documentary, the Doom
yep,
documentary, pushed it even further.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
I'm not saying I'm on the same kind of level as that, but again, it's that momentum, it's that push.
Yeah,
The Fantastic Four First Steps film is given that as well.
yeah,
I'm
totally.
I'm using this platform to push it further because I want to see it. I want to be
Yeah,
able to show my kids it. I don't want to
yeah,
risk it being taken off places.
yeah, yeah,
I don't want to say it because I don't want it to be removed, but it's these little things where, it'd be amazing to see it with an
yeah,
official release. And
yeah,
even just a little, like a little, I don't know, a little event, like a pop-up event somewhere,
yeah,
you know, celebrating Fantastic Four 1994.
yeah,
That would be something I'd want to be invited to.
yeah. That'd be cool.
And we
Well,
could and we could do caps.
right on. Well, nice, nice caps.
Nice caps, yeah. With like we could even have like the original date and then the release date. There we go.
Exactly. Yep.
There we
Yep.
go.
Cast and crew for the 1994 version. Yep.
Um,
But you'll get one of those.
we
You'll get
will.
one.
We'll sort it out. But Jay, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much
Thanks,
for
brother.
coming onto
Thanks,
the
Anthony.
channel. We'll have to speak again, I'm sure.
Sure.
Do
Good.
some kind of table read. But yeah, it's
You
been
got
a
it.
blessing to speak to you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. You're
Thanks.
just starting yours. I'm just ending mine.
I know, right? You're like, I'm ready to go to
But
bed. It's this.
you look after yourself. Have a wonderful
Thanks,
rest of your
brother.
day, and we'll speak soon.
Flame on.
Flame on.